Hello everyone, it's me, and today let's watch this community theory together. Let's go!
Matt Pat theorizing in the morning, and we're back, early birds. Later on in today's show, we'll have a preview of Greendale's hottest themed dances coming up this semester.
I love the cups. One is game theory, one is film theory cups.
I'm personally looking forward to Dean Pelton's Flossathon for cavity prevention. It's sure to make plenty of human beings out there open up and say, "Aw, yeah!" But first, let's all loosen up our belts because we've finally cracked the case of Greendale's most notorious criminal. That's right, human beings, we're cashing in on the identity of the Butt Crack Bandit, which, is called something else in the show, but YouTube is stricter than mainstream media, so you gotta stay brand safe, and you can keep the change on that one. Back after these messages, Matt Pat theorizing in the morning.
Matt Pat theorizing in the morning.
Hello, Internet. Welcome to Film Theory.
Hello, Internet. Welcome to Film Theory. Hello. Hello.
Way more than 6 seasons. Still waiting on that movie. Loyal theorists, get ready, because today we're gonna be dropping some quarter-sized nuggets of knowledge down your unsuspecting brain pants. There's a crime afoot in the halls of Greendale Community College, and it's up to us to finally crack the case of the serial cracker. In the event that you have literally no idea of what I've been talking about for the first couple minutes of this episode.
Alright, case and points. Raise of hand. How many of you literally have no idea what's happening? How many?
Let me introduce you to my favorite TV show of all time, Community. Now, if you're a subscriber to this channel, chances are you're a fan of Rick and Morty.
Yes, do remember to subscribe to my channel as well. Thank you so much, and ring the notification bell. Thank you.
Let's face it, the viewership numbers on those episodes don't lie. And if you like Rick and Morty, then there is a very, very high likelihood that you'll also love yourself some Community as well, because it was created by the same guy, Dan Harmon.
I'm staying in the sleep study lab. All I have to do is wake up every 3 hours and go, "Ah!" and I get 2 credits.
But now it is back on Netflix for all of you to pour directly into your eye holes. To catch you up, the show is about a dysfunctional community college study group constructed of weirdos and outcasts. The show itself is incredibly meta and pays homage to just about every film and television trope you can think of.
Yeah, incredibly meta. The metaverse.
From iconic paintball episodes riffing on 80s action movies like Die Hard, and chicken finger heists that are inspired by mafia movies like Goodfellas, to claymation Christmas specials and even classic 8-bit video games.
While he's fighting for greed, we're fighting for friendship, which means we can't lose, okay?
Okay.
Oh!
I guess there's no hug button.
It's also notorious for having some of the most intricate and patient meta jokes in all of television history. I mean, this is a show where entire plot lines can happen in the background and go completely unnoticed if you aren't paying attention. Which brings us to the episode that I wanted to focus on today, Season 5's Basic Intergluteal Numismatics, a mystery episode riffing on the tropes of dark David Fincher-esque films like Seven and Zodiac.
Just stop for just a moment. Everyone that's watching this video right now, can I ask you something? Do you guys actually know what's the meaning of the title? Can you comment down below? Thank you so much.
But unlike those films' horrific murders, the threat that lurks in Community's halls is much more mundane. An evil that terrorizes Greendale Community College by sneaking up on people who have exposed a little bit of butt crack and then dropping quarters into the resulting slot.
Okay, why would you do that? I mean, it's a bit mundane, a bit humdrum, a bit mediocre, a bit simple, a bit ordinary, but stop.
Move known on campus as cracking. Because of the nature of his crimes, he's referred to as the Ass Crack Bandit, whom we'll hereafter be referring to as the ACB or just the Bandit, because it turns out YouTube censors are even harsher than NBC's. In the Fincher movies that Community's parroting here, there are red herrings, subtle clues galore that have to be looked at inside.
Get it? The herring fish? Red herring.
And still might not lead to a solution. And the same is the case with this particular episode. By the end of Intergluteal Numismatics, the case is left as wide open as the back of an ill-fitting pair of jeans. The ACB escapes unidentified. It's an incredibly frustrating, dangling loose end to the story of this show, one that I hope to finally tie up with today's video. Now, don't get me wrong, it is an incredibly difficult mystery to solve, but as Troy himself says,
all difficult things are better, like
curing a disease or holding in a fart right now.
The Bandits' main episode is in Season 5, but we actually know that the ACB was active on Greendale's campus as of Season 2, because Annie references the Bandit in her speech while running for student body president.
If I'm elected, the assailant, known only as the ass-crack bandit, will be brought to justice.
If you go frame by frame and pause during the opening credits montage of news articles about the crime spree, you learn that there were no less than 7 crackings in 7 weeks during that first wave. You also get yourself a partial list of victim names. You even learn that the butt crack bandit was not the serial fountain pooper. There are 2 different crime sprees.
Okay, why do you even do that in the first place? Why? I mean, why? For plots?
Eventually, the bandit just stops for reasons unexplained and disappears for over a year. The Season 5 episode kicks off with a new cracking during the reopening of Shirley's sandwich shop. Shortly afterward, Troy becomes the next victim of the bandit, prompting the dean to propose Troy's Law, which would put cameras in Greendale's bathrooms. But at a rally for Troy's Law, another student named Vicky is cracked in the bleachers, sending the entire school into a panic. Annie believes that the ACB has access to the teacher's lounge and convinces Jeff to team up to investigate, discovering an important detail hidden in the bandit's letters.
I am the Mad Hatter, if hats were butts. To me, you're all like ants marching to class, freaks on parade. I mean, why mix metaphors? Ants don't have butts.
Ants do have butts.
No, these are Dave lyrics.
Dave?
Dave Matthews. Hardcore fans call him Dave.
They're eventually led to Starburns, who quickly confesses to the crime, but Jeff learns that he's not a Dave Matthews Band fan, and only confessed as part of a deal with the dean. After creeping on Annie in his office,
aren't you going to pick those up?
Yes.
Professor Duncan is cracked in the hallway. Jeff and Annie pursue the assailant, but the bandit gets away and the case goes cold. Also, Chang walks around backwards eating a giant churro and wearing a fake butt, which leads to nothing in the investigation, but does lead to one of the strangest and funniest moments in the show's history.
This extra long churro tastes good in my real mouth. Yum, yum, yum.
Now, it feels safe to say that we can eliminate people who themselves got cracked. So that immediately eliminates both Troy and Professor Duncan, narrowing our field of potential suspects down to 10. We don't have tons of hard evidence to use in this case, but we can do most of the work of eliminating suspects by using what in criminology are called the 3 indicators of suspicion: means, opportunity, and motive.
Alright, let's learn something about the 3 indicators of suspicions. Means, opportunity, motive.
Means is all about having the tools necessary to commit the crime, and it's not exactly like quarters are particularly hard to come by. Means, though, also relates to the physical capabilities of the suspect, and that one is helpful because it immediately gets rid of Pierce as a potential candidate. In Season 2, when the bandit first becomes active, Pierce is confined to a breath-powered wheelchair, and let's just say he's not great at maneuvering around. There's no chance that he's gonna be able to sneak up on anybody in this thing, so he's immediately off our list. Opportunity most closely aligns with alibi. If you're accounted for during the crime, we can safely eliminate you. In the opening of the episode, Shirley, Dean Pelton, and Chang are all in the cafeteria for the ribbon cutting of Shirley's sandwiches. And when Garrett runs in from having just been cracked, all 3 of them are still visibly there. So that knocks another 3 suspects off our list. It also can't be Starburns, and not just because he can't recognize Dave Matthews Band lyrics. When Duncan gets cracked, Starburns is still locked in his cage in the cafeteria being pelted with change. So that now leaves us with 5 potential suspects remaining: Hickey, Jeff, Britta, Annie, and Abed. Now, examining motive forces us to be a little bit more subjective and connect more dots, considering things like victimology and the pattern of the crackings. And when it comes to motive, Hickey just makes no sense. Sure, he has access to the faculty lounge, he has a background in criminology, and he recognizes Dave Matthews Band when he hears him at the end of Season 5.
Press stop on Dave Matthews.
I mean, real fans just call him Dave, but still, he knows the band. The thing is, though, the pattern of attacks doesn't really make sense. If Hickey's been at Greendale for 15 years, why would he start cracking in Season 2, stop for Seasons 3 and 4, and then start up again in Season 5?
Yes, that's very odd, don't you think so? It's like, why the pause? Why the pause?
He's also not the type to find this sort of thing funny. He's not really the type to find many things funny, to be honest. But most importantly of all, knocking Hickey out of contention is the ACB's phone call to Dean Pelton, where he specifically calls out the relationship between Jeff and Annie.
Although sometimes I wonder, are they chasing me as an excuse to get near each other?
I mean, get a room already.
We're friends.
Buzz Hickey in the canon of the show just met Jeff 1 episode ago, and as such has a less than zero stake in the on-again, off-again relationship between Jeff and Annie. Thereby, Buzz is off the list. This phone call is also a key piece of evidence throwing both Jeff and Annie into question. I mean, they're both in the room when it happens, so they're not the ones making the call. That said, I guess it could have been pre-recorded, so we'll need more to fully eliminate them from contention. So let's look at the man who wouldn't put in the effort to do something nearly this elaborate, Jeff Winger. When it comes to motive problems, he's the character who struggles to find a motive to do anything.
Well, you can say that his name literally says wing it. Sorry.
Such, sustaining a prank over multiple years just isn't Jeff's style. And while he has no real alibi for the crackings, he has access to the faculty lounge, he knows Dave Matthews Band lyrics, and may subconsciously be looking for an excuse to spend time with Annie, the rest just doesn't add up. Why would he fight against Star Burns' confession? Why would he go looking for the bandit's laptop with the message recorded on it if he was the one who planted it there in the first place? None of these have a particularly good answer, and as such, Jeff is just logically off the list. Annie, on the other hand, is a suspect that requires a much closer look. If her hope is to pull the crackings in order to get Jeff to define their relationship, that complaint on the bandit's phone call makes a lot more sense. She's also the one who comes to the realization at the end of the episode that the bandit might be a girl.
Don't worry. I got a feeling he'll be back.
Or her.
Is it a realization that it could be a girl, or a slip-up admitting that it's her? Honestly, this moment in the episode is too vague to tell, but what isn't vague is her reaction in the final episode of the series when Jeff brings up the ACB one final time, and Annie has herself a very suspicious reaction.
Very sussy, right? Sus! Like Among Us, the guy.
You remember the Ass Crack Bandit?
Yeah. Do I remember? I mean, doesn't everybody? Could have been anybody.
But the most damning piece of evidence of all against Annie comes
Awkward.
from the script itself. When fans question what the deal was with Annie's awkward reaction in the final episode, community writer Alex Rubin posted this picture, supposedly from the episode's script. That seems like it should be an open and shut case, right? The script for the final episode of the series outright says that she was probably the bandit the entire time. And yet, I am convinced that it wasn't her, and I have the evidence to prove it. Annie, being obsessed with the ACB case, keeps a scrapbook binder of all the key newspaper coverage, pieces of evidence, and her own theories. In the episode, that scrapbook is only shown for a few minutes during the opening credits crawl. But that prop went on auction back in 2017, selling for the not too shabby price of $800. As a part of the auction lot, they displayed high-resolution photos of what is actually inside the binder, some of which are never-before-seen pages that didn't make it into the episode. And in those, we actually see 2 full pages of Annie's thoughts on the case.
Wow! Alright, let's just pause for a moment and just stop and think. MatPat actually make an entire Film Theory episodes about that? I mean, sure, why not, but why?
Not only would it be insane for her to be keeping such meticulous notes and theories on a crime spree she herself was committing, but what's more interesting isn't what she's writing, it's how she's writing it. Throughout the episode, we're read multiple notes written by the ACB, but we're actually shown 2 of them. One at the top of the episode, and a second later in the episode that, in order to actually read, you have to pause, flip, and color correct. And for both of those letters, Annie's scrapbook handwriting just doesn't match the ACB's letter handwriting.
Just stop for a moment, just stop for a moment. Why are you being so detailed and do so much research on such a supposedly mundane, humdrum, hilarious you know what, let's continue.
This isn't just me overthinking things either, since in Zodiac, one of the David Fincher movies that this episode is parodying, handwriting is the damning final piece of evidence, so it makes sense that it's important for solving this episode's little mystery. Long story short, it's just not in Annie's character. It's a juvenile prank that she doesn't find funny. She's a goody two-shoes who gets mad about her pens, not a prankster out to cause chaos and fear across the campus. But you know who would enjoy this sort of prank? Britta. In season 1, we learned the type of pranks that she likes, and they're just kind of lame.
So I was gonna sneak in there, get a frog, and then tomorrow, when Senior Chang's class is coming in, there will be a frog on his desk wearing, ta-da,
Oh, you're done.
And at the end of this episode, Britta commits the Freudian slip of typing her name instead of the bandit onto her project. But given that she can't even say bagel properly, it's a pretty easy detail to overlook.
Bagel.
No, the suspicions on Britta actually go a lot deeper.
Bagel.
Britta doesn't have an alibi for any of the 4 crackings that we see, and we know that she has regular access to change.
How many quarters were in this cup holder?
The same amount.
She's also the single likeliest person to be upset at all the time that Annie and Jeff are spending together trying to solve the case, so that part of the bandit's phone call would make sense if it's coming from Britta. The victimology also makes sense for Britta. Troy broke up with Britta at the end of season 4, so it's conceivable that she'd want to crack him. Given Duncan's general creepiness towards Britta, not a surprise that she would want to crack him as well. And in season 2, she was just coming off the heels of being rejected by Jeff, so again, a spree of crackings immediately after getting dumped. Except there are 2 main pieces of physical evidence with Britta as the culprit. And it all begins with the first note from the bandit that we see in the episode, which contains even more lines that are left unread on camera. If you pause the moment when the letter is shown and zoom in, you can see this line that's not read aloud. Quote, "It's not my hand that drops the coin, it's God's." And that is something Britta would never say, even if it was joking, even if it was trying to make a point.
Yeah, but your religion isn't the same as morality, and calling me amoral because I'm atheistic is religious persecution.
But it's not just that note here either. Physical evidence on the bandit is slim, but there is a bit that we can use to finally eliminate Britta once and for all. In this shot, right before Troy's cracking, we get to see the bandit standing relative to a real-world object, a 6-shelf school library bookcase.
Oh my god, don't tell me you're going to do pixel measurements, right? Oh my god, the height difference again. I mean, you make the same difference in the early episodes of the Game Theory. I mean, Oreo is not 6 feet tall. Oreo.
Researching these sorts of shelves, we know that they're typically 7 feet tall, or about 2.1 meters. The bandit is standing around the height of the 6th one, putting his or her height between 5'10" and 6 feet tall, or
shorter than me.
Just around 1.77 meters. The actress who plays Britta, Gillian Jacobs, is only 5'4" inches. And while Britta may wear high boots throughout the series, a 6-inch platform heel is just crazy. Even for her. It can't be Britta. Which leaves us with one. Abed. Abed is known for pulling the strings around campus to make real life feel more like a TV show.
Now look what you have done. Tell them they got 24 hours to solve the case. They do. You have 24 hours to solve it or else.
That's the poster.
And yet he's oddly disinterested in the crime drama that's happening around him.
Abed, can't you just stand at the scene of the crime and see what happened?
I see a man using a social disorder as a procedural device. Painful writing. It hurts.
Could it be he doesn't want to be in the role of the detective because he's already in the role of the criminal? It does seem unlikely given that he'd have to crack his own best friend in the course of this episode, but he's been shown to be willing to hurt his own friends for the sake of a bit before.
So, this wasn't a real conversation. You were doing another movie?
This is why we don't hang out.
It's Troy! You know it's Troy! Okay, it's the first part of Troy and Abed. I'm not psycho!
Okay.
And here's the thing, he has no real alibi during any of the crackings. In fact, his behavior is extremely suspicious in 2 key moments. First, right before Troy's cracking, Troy calls Abed and it goes directly to voicemail, potentially because he's right there, lying in wait outside of the study room. More suspicious though is Abed right before Vicky's cracking. During the assembly to discuss Troy's law, for a split second, we can see Abed next to Dean Pelton through the crowd. A few seconds later, he's gone. And seconds after that, Vicky gets cracked by someone under the bleachers. Is it just a continuity error, or is it a hint that Abed is the true culprit? Let's continue though, because the evidence doesn't stop there. Annie is convinced that the ACB has a shortcut through the faculty lounge.
During the bandit's most daring spree, he cracked 3 people in a row. My quickest time was 20 minutes. The ACB did it in 10.
Except here's the thing. Abed is shown in season 1 to be the best athlete in Greendale, with an unusually fast running speed, even for Troy, who himself was a big-time high school athlete.
As the best athlete on campus, I need you to run to my office.
Dean, I am not the best athlete on campus. Abed is.
Go, Abed, go! Before people sex one another!
So what Annie can do in 20 minutes, Abed can most likely do much faster. But here's the kicker. The thing that absolutely solidifies Abed as our ACB. When it comes to the 2 main pieces of physical evidence in the case, Abed fits both. Danny Pudi, the actor who plays Abed, is 6 foot tall. The exact height that we need him to be to measure up properly against those library bookcases.
Whoa, coincidence?
And the piece of evidence that absolutely seals the deal, his handwriting matches the ACB's notes. In Season 1, Episode 21, Contemporary American Poultry, Abed makes a chart mapping out the likes and dislikes of all his fellow study mates. On that board, we get a good sample of his handwriting, which we can then compare to both of the bandits' letters in this episode. His capital B's are bubbly, just like the bandits. He dots his lowercase i's, just like the bandit. His lowercase b's, p's, and d's all seem to match the bandit's notes, but most convincingly of all is how he writes his lowercase m's, two little humps in one continuous stroke, just like we see in both of the bandits' letters.
Coincidence?
Just like a little butt. The intricate nature of the ACB's crimes is consistent with how immersive Abed can be in his little projects. He's one of the few characters who'd be willing to commit to a bit for literal years just to see it pay off. And here, just like in the crime dramas that he watches, he laid out clues that would point to everyone else, mentioning God to make Shirley a suspect, citing Dave Matthews to make Duncan and Jeff a suspect, calling out Jeff and Annie's relationship to force Britta into the spotlight, cracking his own friend Troy to avoid suspicion himself. It's exactly how these crime dramas seed out red herrings to point to everyone else until it's finally revealed that the detective was in on it the entire time.
Yes, get it. Red herring, the fish. Sorry.
But only
red color of the fish.
Abed has the means, the opportunity, the motive, and properly fits all the physical evidence that we have to do the deed. He only quits his crimes because Pierce dies at the end of the episode and Troy leaves on a boat with LeVar Burton shortly thereafter. His life from that point forward in the series becomes a lot more serious, and his hijinks become a lot more muted. But it's important to remember, Abed didn't assume the role of the ACB to be malicious. Quite the contrary, he did it to help him understand the world just a little bit better, to relate to others just that much more.
It's TV. It's comfort. It's a friend you've known so well and for so long, you just let it be with you. And it needs to be okay for it to have a bad day or phone in a day. And it needs to be okay for it to get on a boat with LeVar Burton and never come back.
I think at this point in time, we can all relate to the feeling of comfort that comes with immersing yourself in a fictional world. But hey, that's just a theory. A film theory. And a movie.
That's weird. I mean, this video is very weird. Quite strange actually. Pretty unique, but a bit weird. Anyways, if you do like this video, I mean, why? If you do like this video, please remember to like, share, subscribe to my channel, comment down below if you have anything to share with us. Once again, it is like, share, and subscribe to my channel, and comment down below if you have anything to share with us. Don't forget to follow my channel, and sincerely appreciate all of your support and encouragement for my work. Thank you so much. It's very uplifting and motivating to see all your positive feedbacks. Thank you so much for being so awesome. Thank you so much for being so understanding and caring. And I hope to see you all in my next video. But hey, that's just a theory. A film theory. And cut. And I hope to see you all in my next video. Bye bye. And remember to subscribe. Thank you.